Hey, good evening, my friends. I hope everyone's had a great week. Let's see. There you go. And that you're prepared for almost a Halloween tomorrow, but I mean, Valentine's. Hey, Nadja, nice to see you. I mean, it is funny with Valentine's, right? We do a special day. We were joking about it, me and my friends. She was like, "What, did you buy something for me? Like, what did you buy for me?" And she bought some chocolate. Not for Valentine's, but she had some chocolate. She's like, "Here you go, here's some chocolate." Because it is, the concept of Valentine is kind of funny. But I actually had something, that I wanted to talk to you about. Let's see if it works. So I had a question. I spoke recently about, we were talking, hey Nicole, nice to see you. Talking about how the sense of self is in the distortions. It's not that, well, let's see. Hi Sue, good evening everyone. Sorry I missed Monday and I had a dog in for initial sniffer training and they turned up late to collect him. I hope you're okay. Yeah, we missed you, Sue. Okay, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna turn off the fan. Hopefully, let's see. Hopefully it doesn't crash the stream. Yeah. So, I think I'm still streaming, right? Yes, perfect. So I was saying that we have this idea when we feel an uncomfortable feeling inside of us. It's like, I'm here and I'm looking at this uncomfortable feeling and I want to get away from that. And we believe that like this is the thing that's kind of not me. I'm this, or like the observer, whatever you want to say. But if you look at this more closely, the sense of self, I'm not saying that the actual you, what you actually are, because I don't know what you actually are. I mean, what you actually are is like this. This is the only thing we know that we can control, like this thing here. This is like skin and bones and flesh and like this material here. This is what I can control. That's like the closest we could say to what we actually are. And I'm not really talking about some metaphysical like you. What I'm talking about is the sense of you. What you feel is you is in this distortion. So someone asked me like, well, because other teachers had told them that you shouldn't say, I am tired, because then there's the I that is tired and you don't want to have the self in there. And I'm kind of like, well, the misconception is that it's not that you are tired, it's that you are tiredness. Like you are the tiredness. When you are angry, it's not that you are angry, it's that you are anger, because the feeling of tiredness, that's where the sense of you reside. The feeling of anger, that's where you reside. That's where that sense of you is. So it's not that we're trying to get away from our emotions or trying to push down our feelings. And I always had an issue with this when I was a monk, that, for instance, you live in celibacy. And if you would ever say that, I had feelings, I saw a girl and I felt attracted, like, no, you've failed. If you're really Buddhist, if you really practice meditation, really practice being a monk, you wouldn't feel any of that. So in other words, they don't touch it. It's like you're not allowed to talk about it. It's defiled, it's evil. The way you get evil, in a way. The way you get away from sexual attraction is by seeing that it's actually disgusting, it's yucky, it's like, oh yeah. There's this scene of a story about when the Buddha wakes up in the middle of the night and there's been a big party and everyone's like passed out and drunk and stuff, and he opens his eyes and he looks around and there's like all these beautiful women. They're lying with like saliva running down their mouths and like they're disgusting, it's yucky, and there's like they've had sex, so there's like liquids everywhere and it's just like kind of like that. And I meditated like 6 years as a monk, and I probably averaged 8 hours per day during those 6 years. And during all that time, once I had an experience when I was meditating and sitting and I felt that, oh my goodness, sex is disgusting. And I was really repulsed by it. I've had other times when it's a little bit like, okay, that's not so nice. But the one time I've really had that feeling, oh, sex is disgusting, one time out of tens of thousands of hours has that come up. And then we take that and say, like, okay, that is truth. Sex is disgusting. Ew. And if you look at attraction, what is attraction? Like beautiful hair. Well, if you take out a hair and put it in your food, then there's no beauty. So there is no beauty. And that's kind of denying or trying to convince yourself that you're not feeling this. What I'm saying is that, no, you allow yourself to feel your emotion. Don't be afraid of them. What's actually going on? When we feel anxious, we're like, oh, I don't want to feel this, and we try to solve the problems, because that's kind of how we get motivated. We feel a difficult sensations and we act because of it. I feel desire, so I grab something that I want instead of, oh, it's just an uncomfortable feeling and it will come and it will go. So it's not that you are angry, it's that you are anger. It's not that you are anxious, you are anxiety. You are, the sense of you is literally in this distortion. And when you look at it and you let it come out and you don't repress those feelings, you don't like try to create this, is it dichotomy? No. Separation? Hey, Jack. This split in what you see as you between like, okay, I'm observing and this is not me, and you kind of try to reconcile this. You kind of split yourself up instead of saying like, hey, wait a minute, I am here. And if you've ever looked at this, if you ever had something that was really difficult that you went through and then you allowed, like, I think I spoke about fear last time, how if you say your fear out aloud, just saying that, they had done research and they showed that just by like expressing your fear, you have less fear. Because you're not pushing it down, you let yourself feel like, oh, there's nothing there really. If you really look at that fear, it's just a sensation of distortion. I had it today. I was alone with the kids because my fiance was teaching her yoga class, and I was cleaning up. My son was it's just difficult to put to bed sometimes, and he didn't want his pajamas on. He really didn't want his pajamas on. He was screaming and running around and tried all the other pajamas, but the one he wanted was the one that has poop on it from this morning. So yeah, we cannot take that one. We have to wash it. And then I was like, okay, I was cleaning and I was a little bit stressed and things going on. And then I lifted the table and I tipped over one of our favorite teapots that I got from my fiance for our, I can't remember if it was my birthday or if it was one of our anniversaries or something. I think it was one of our anniversaries. And I ruined the lid of it. And I could see that there was like the thought process getting going, like, oh my goodness, I ruined this beautiful memory. But there was no distortion. There was no reaction happening. I could kind of feel like almost like a ripple a little bit. But there was like nothing there. And I could kind of see my children were like, oh no. And my son started crying. And they're like, Mama's teapot, because it's the one she uses the most. It's Mama's teapot, and he was so sad. And my daughter would say, is Mama going to be angry at you now, Papa? And I was kind of like, actually, you know what, yeah. And I tried to get this, it was a bit like my thoughts were still running the program of, oh no, this is bad. This shouldn't have happened. Or I ruined something that was special and I'll never get that back. But the feeling towards that, the distortion was simply that it was still soft. There was no sense of I, and so what happened was simply me being too quick lifting something up and tipping it over, and there was a part of me wanting to make excuses. Well, the reason this happened was because my fiance, she put the table on the mat, and it's her fault. It's not my fault. It's because she did that. So I could see my mind trying to blame it, and then when I heard that thought, without the feeling, the distortion towards it was, well, that's silly. Like, why? It doesn't matter if she put the table there. I'm the one who did it. I'm the one who lifted up the table and wasn't careful enough to watch because it was there and I got stuck and I did like that. It's not her fault. It's like, that's just dumb. So when you accept that you are in this feeling, that you are that feeling, and you look at that and you let it come up, you'll see that, and you don't push it down, because what I could have done otherwise would have been, I felt uncomfortable and it makes me want to do something. Either it's so uncomfortable I push it down, oh, it hurts so much, I'm not going to look at this. Other option is I just get angry and just lose control, or I put the blame on someone else. So this this sense of me is making me put the blame on my fiancée. It's her fault. She actually caused this because she put the table where she did. Or it's my kid's fault because my son, he wouldn't put his pajamas on, and if he would just been a little bit calmer and didn't stress Papa, then I wouldn't have done this. Which I mean, there is truth to that. Yeah, if he would have been calmer, I wouldn't have been stressed. But it doesn't matter because it's my fault. I lifted up the table. I wasn't careful. Can't blame my son. He's 2.5 years old. He's doing what a 2.5-year-old should do. So it takes away the reactiveness of a self needing to defend itself. Because if I would have blamed my fiance, my child, or like karma or whatever you want me to blame, it would have been because I was trying to defend this me, this sense of self. Because it's an uncomfortable feeling to feel the sense of self, which is why I put so much emphasis on enjoying being here, on enjoying your life experience of just being here. It's not that it's the story is so beautiful and all these big things happen and they're so wonderful. No, it's just being here and feeling this calmness. There's nothing that needs to be special for you to feel that way. And the way you do that is by feeling good and enjoying yourself. Because then when you feel good and you enjoy yourself, and then all of a sudden it goes like, oh my goodness, I cracked this thing and now I feel so, like, why? Ooh, that hurts. Why am I doing this? And then very, very naturally, you'll start looking at this sense of self and say like, hey, well, this is kind of dumb. Why am I doing this? This is not making me enjoy my life more. Why? And it's not making me take rational actions. In fact, it's making me very impulsive. It's not making me a nice person. I'm not a better father, which is something I want to be. I'm not a better husband. I'm not yet, but a fiancé, is that? No, a male, female, never mind. Let's just call it, I'm not a better husband if I act on this impulse. But if instead I can take that away, then I can think clearly. I can see the situation and it's all on me. It's my fault. I don't have to put that blame because I don't need to defend myself or my actions in the sense that, oh, I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to feel that I did something wrong. So when my fiancé came home, I said, okay, well, my Nene didn't want to put his pajamas on, and also, you know, the teapot, the lid, I broke it. Because I lifted up and it broke. And she's like, oh, well, that's a shame. I said, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. It was my fault. And then she said, well, maybe I can look for a new one. And she looked for a new one, and there was like a new one for, I don't know, 12 euros or something. We're not talking like 50 euros or something insane. It's not the end of the world. So when you really start thinking differently about this, when you stop believing that what happens out here is what decides how you're allowed to feel, and you focus on really enjoying yourself, you'll just get small things. And I highly recommend you also to not get caught up in the grandioseness of all these things. And I think that's a problem with spirituality in general, is that it's not enough to just enjoy being here. No, you have to save the world. I actually made a video about this morning. I'll release it tomorrow. There's this idea that it's not enough just to be a good person and just help people around you. No, you have to travel to India and open up an orphanage, or go out and live on walk on the oceans and pick up like stranded plastic, which is, I mean, those are really good things to do. I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm just saying that if you do that, why like put so much self into it? Instead of, you have a family, you have your life, well, just take your family to the beach one day and go and pick up some plastic bottles. Teach your children how to not dirty up the ocean so much. Teach your children how to be a more loving, caring person towards others, and understanding that other people have their own lives and their own things going on, so they don't need to react so harshly towards them. So really it brings everything back to you and what's happening now. It's not about these big things. It's not, oh, you know what, I need to be enlightened. I need to be a light worker, weaver, who goes out and changes the energies of the universe, not just the planet. I mean, I'm dealing with the universe here. Like, why? And if you can do that, then you're allowed to feel happy. just feel good now. And when you start feeling good, then you start seeing all these small things you do. When you're doing the dishes, you'll notice there's a sense of uncomfortableness that makes you feel a bit stressed. And that stress is making you move faster. Why? Why do you need to stress? What about actually maybe leaving some of the dishes and enjoying yourself and taking it calmly and feeling good and happy? I mean, when you die and you lie on your deathbed, like, you're not going to say, oh, I wish I would have done those dishes a bit better. I wish I would have gotten my children to pick up their dirty clothes that they keep leaving on their floor. If I only had done that, then I'd be happy. Again, I'm not saying don't let your children do whatever they want to, or just leave all the dishes. What I'm saying is that don't hinge your happiness on those things. And really start with these small things. Don't think that you need to overcome the biggest cause of anxiety that you have, whether that's abuse from the past, whether it's fear of something that has happened to you, or fear of something that's happening now in the world around us. There's a lot of really scary things going on. Instead of working with those things, just look like right now, like all these small things that you have. When you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is you pull this thing up and you go, oh, and you're sitting there, oh, I'll get a message, and feel the uncomfortableness that happens inside of you, the drive that makes you pick it up and want to look at it. Feel what it feels like when you get up and you go to wake up your children, and you feel that like, oh, uncomfortable feeling, oh, I need to stress, it's so late. And again, I'm not saying just skip times and don't go to work. I'm saying look at that feeling and see, hey, can you do this? Can you do something differently? Is there something you can change? And maybe not, you can't change it today, but the first step is just becoming aware of how much we're punishing ourselves, how much we're hurting ourselves. It's not other people doing this. I think this whole thing about negative energies, I see all the time on YouTube, like, oh, how to protect yourself from psychic attacks. And I'm kind of like, what? I'm not saying there isn't such a thing. I'm just saying, just focus on like your life. Instead, it's like, oh, it's evil spirits from the past coming to attack me, and like it's all these things. Just like focus on like getting out of bed and not picking up your phone. And if there is someone attacking you, then well, just leave that, because that's probably too difficult to deal with. And just focus on these small things, and you will start to see that you're the cause of all this unhappiness, of all this discomfort. And the good thing about that is that you are also the solution to it. Not always easy and not simple, but yeah. Jack is saying it's amusing to watch it sometimes on the YouTube. Yeah, it is. And when you start seeing life differently like this, it really makes you look at other people's actions differently. When you see how people try so hard to be perceived a certain way, or I mean, it's even the funniest is when we actually do watch like spiritual videos, and there's people who are so into it, and they're so strong, they're so powerful, and they're like, it's about manifesting your dream life, and you can create this life story that's your destiny. I'm kind of like, oh my goodness, the amount of self is that, and that is like, it's insane. If I would have been sitting here saying like, you need to go out and you need to really get all the money you can get so you can buy the biggest house you can get, and when you have the biggest house you can find, then you buy two, and you start looking for a private airplane. Now that's when the fun really starts. And when you have a private jet, then you look for a boat, a real big yacht. And after that, in other words, that just sounds ridiculous, but for me it's the same thing when someone comes and say, oh, just manifest the dream life. It's the same thing. It's the idea that I need to get this big thing happening, and when that happens, then I'll be happy. I need to find my destiny. If I find that, then I can be happy. And it's not that there's not something that will work better for you in regards to what you do with your life and your work. Absolutely. And by all means, look for that. But don't wait with enjoying your life until that happens. Like, start now. And start looking at these small things. Don't start with the big things. Just start with the small things. And feel that uncomfortableness. And see how that is hurting you. God damn it, what's wrong with time? Like, time is really strange. I was looking at the time before, and it was 7 minutes past. And I was like 40 minutes later. I apologize for that. I hope that it's a fascinating behavior. I hope that was something that can be of use. and that you can not just listen to, but actually apply it somehow, that there's something from that you can see in your own life, whatever it is. I mean, we all sit here. I know that everyone sitting here watching this, they have something going on. There is something that they feel like, oh, I wish I could overcome this big thing. But maybe just put that big thing on pause and start looking at this small thing instead. Like this tiny thing, and just look at that, like, why do I feel bad or stressed when I make food? And you'll notice it. I noticed it today. I was cooking food for my kids. My fiancé was away, and I was stressing because my son wanted to help make the hamburgers, and he kept pushing his finger in the meat and licking it. I'm like, oh, you can't do that. Don't touch the meat. You're not supposed to eat it. He started crying, and then what does it matter if we eat 10 minutes later? I want to have fun with my family. I want to enjoy my son. I want to enjoy my daughter, and I want all of us to have a good time. And it doesn't matter if the food is a little bit later. So really look at these things, and it becomes a lot easier. JVB, insightful. Thank you. You're welcome. Nicole, this is such an important topic, I think. I believe so too. There's a lot in this that if you would really look at this, your life would be better or more enjoyable. Hey, Nila from the Netherlands, I'm assuming. Nice to see you. Goedenavond. Oh my goodness, my Dutch is so bad. My daughter knows much more Dutch than I do. So, for those of you who are new, we generally sit and chat like this a little bit before, or I just go on a rampage or a monologue on something, and hopefully it's useful. Sometimes it's just complete rubbish, but hopefully. And after that, we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a way of reconnection, creating reconnection with our senses and experiencing our life instead of our life story, which is one of the big themes that I try to make people see. After that, today it's Thursday, right? Nadia, you usually know this stuff. I think it's Thursday. Yes, it has to be Thursday. Yeah. So Thursday, meaning that it's not a guided meditation today. It's just we sit together. After that, if anyone has any questions, I am very happy to talk a little bit longer after that. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is originally a method that is used for like people who are really distressed to get back to their senses. And it's a really good exercise to start using your senses, because we tend to just flash on things with our eyes and they're, okay, I know what that is, and we don't pay any attention. So we're trying to become aware of what we're seeing, what we're feeling, what we're hearing, what we're tasting and smelling, like really using our senses. And we're trying to become aware of the nuances of it also. Thursday, yes, thank you, Nadia. So for instance, I look at my hand and I say it out loud with me. We say 5 things out loud that you can see around you. I can see my hand, and when I look at this hand, I don't just say, okay, I see a hand, done. No, I look at the hand and I can see these veins, and I can see the structure of how they're like popping out a bit. And they have a color, they're contrasted by this a bit like almost white. Oh, I look really pale today. And there's like redness here, and I can see the roughness, and I can see that my fingers are dry. And I can see how all of this curves around and all this texture and the hairs. So really becoming interested in the nuances of what we see, and seeing them without having a distortion towards it, an emotional reaction. It's just something we see. It's not that I try to pretend that it's not my hand. I obviously know that this is my hand, but I try to not feel like, oh, this is my hand, it's the best hand, or it's like the worst hand, or whatever you feel about your hand. It's just what I see right now, and I know intellectually that this is a hand. I can see a pair of socks lying in front of me, woolen socks. I see a funny chair. I mean, it's a pretty funny looking chair. I see a pair of headphones. Same thing here, just look at the reflections of light coming in, surfaces, what do they look like? And I see a connector of some kind, some electrical connector. 5 things that I could see. It's not about saying 5 things, it's about seeing what you see. If you see one thing and you just really look at that, that's much better than saying 100 things. Next, 4 things that we can feel. So I can feel right now that there's a itch here, like right underneath my eye. And it's like almost like tinglings. And there's a broad patch, so there's like a broad pressure on there, and there's little tingling. And now when I was holding my hand, I could feel the radiation from my hand kind of touching my skin here. And instead of feeling like, oh, that's uncomfortable, or even going up and itching it, I just feel, what does this feel like? And I can see, oh, there's itching, so there's almost like a little bit of a tension, like, oh, but I don't do that. I can actually just let it be there and then see, okay, it goes away a little bit. And then I can feel, the second thing I feel is the relief of scratching. The itch. Ah, that's nice. And when I do this, I can feel the scratching of my beard. I can feel it on my face and on my finger. Next, I can feel the warmth of my teacup. I feel the surface of it, how it's really glossy, slippery actually. I can feel liquid running down my throat. It's an interesting sensation. There's like this action here in the throat that squeezes together, and then somehow I lose sense of it here, but I can feel the warmth kind of a little bit. And we have very little sensations after it goes down into the stomach here, apparently. So that was 4 things that I could feel. This is not about like, ooh, that's so interesting, I need to find these things out and it's important I find it. No, it's just having a curiosity and a sense of not knowing, of not saying. We tend to divide things into stereotypes, and I know what this is, and we need stereotypes. I believe that this ceiling above me is not going to fall on my head, or that there's going to be a snake jumping out and landing on top of me. That's in a way a stereotype. I believe that this kind of house, it's a presumption. So we need them in a way to function in society, but at the same time, that also dulls our senses. So doing this requires more awareness compared to just walking around in a daydream, because you're becoming aware of what's going on around you. But it really is when you stop distorting against the world, your senses become so much clearer. It's really like there's a veil that's lifted and you can see everything, and the world is beautiful just as it is, not because it's yours or because it's like something you want to have or something you perceive as, no, it's just beautiful by the very fact of like being. Next, 3 things that we can hear. And when it comes to hearing, it's the same thing, that we listen for nuances and smaller things within the hearing. Not maybe just always the first things that pop out, but really try to listen to what we hear inside the sound. So I have a fan in a light that is making. So it's probably a bit unbalanced, because it's not an even fan sound. I hear a electrical humming from my computer. It's not about like, oh, it's electrical humming, I need to do something with it, or I can still understand that, oh, the fan sound, well, very likely there's some dust, maybe I should blow it. There's nothing wrong with understanding that, but then, ooh, there's an uncomfortableness, and I take action from the uncomfortableness instead of just observing, okay, I can see this. Good. And I'll probably forget about it, but later I'll remember it again, and then I can clean it. And see if I can hear something else. There's another fan sound in the background that's faster and like brrr, so that must be some other fan. And it's important, like I'm trying to locate where that sound is coming from, but it's important I don't try to do like this. In other words, I try to be here and I project my sense of hearing, because that creates separation. Instead, we all that we're trying to see with our senses, we try to go, We just let things come to us and just happen on this clean slate of our senses. We're not trying to reach out and pluck these experiences or sensations. We're just letting them happen without involving this tension that is the sense of self. Next, we take two things that we can smell. I smell it smells almost like burnt, a little bit burnt, like when I think it's the heater. It's been hot because I was heating up the space before, so very likely that heated up the air. I can smell orange or some kind of citrusy fruit flavor. Finally, we take one thing that we can taste. I can taste kebab sauce. you're welcome to keep on sitting if you feel like it. Drink a cup of tea. Or if you have any thoughts, questions, something you'd like to discuss, feel free to post it in the comments and we can talk about it. JVB, will we ever meet your fiancé? I think so, yeah. I talked to her about maybe conducting some yoga exercises, since she's a really good yoga instructor actually, and I'm not a very good yoga instructor, and I believe that yoga really helps with getting everything moving inside of the body, so I think it's really beneficial to meditation. So one day, maybe I actually thought about having it as a section in the course, that there will be some exercises, because there's quite a few things you can do to calm the system down before you sit. So one day she'll say hi. I'll tell you that you want to see her or meet her. She's very good at, like I said, yoga, and she's also an experienced meditator as well. So perhaps she could do a session when you gave your retreat. Yeah, that's a good idea. So you know what? I've actually, this week, started writing down the outline of a retreat. And I was thinking of how to do it, like in what shape or form, because when I started thinking, okay, how can I make it so that people get something more than just we sit down for a while and discuss. And a lot of it has to do with how long we're going to do it. And at what time, and is it going to be one period of time? Should we do, so like we meet for a few hours and then we meet the day after, and you get like tasks or not homework, but I ask you to pay attention to things throughout the day and then we discuss them the day after. Or I have quite a few ideas of how to do it, and I think I would like to have a theme to the retreat. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah, if we do a retreat, then I'll ask her to do something. We're looking forward to this retreat. Thank you. That's encouraging. I will keep on drawing the outlines, and I think that within rather shortly I will do a what do they call those? I know Google has something where you can like click in. So I'll ask people like, how long should it be, or is there a subject that you would like us to work with? Because there's so many different aspects of how you can look at distortion and all of the things that we bring up here. But there's also a few core things that you can look at and work with. So there is the time element, slicing times into the sausage method. There is the idea of, if you enjoy being here, then you start seeing how often you're actually not wanting to be here, you want to be over there. And when you start focusing on that, you start seeing that is actually the core issue with what all we're doing. And there are some other things that are like core concepts, but that I've never really written down, or I do with my coaching clients, and it just kind of comes naturally when we discuss. But I would like to have it more as a system, because it will make it easier for other people to receive it and to understand it, and to work with it by themselves also. JVB, I've noticed you've posted a video about relationships. I really enjoyed it. I recommend more relationship videos. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about relationships and how to make it work, because relationships are difficult. It's very difficult to take two people who have different worldviews and even if you have the same worldview, you're still two different people, and then we're trying to kind of make us come together like this. And we also have to, especially when you get children, then you have to make sure the relationship doesn't become a I spoke to someone once. Whenever I meet someone who's divorced, I respectfully ask them why and what they believe they could have done differently to not have a divorce, and like what was it that made it go towards that thing so it kind of disappeared. Because I find that interesting, not just because I'm interested in other people and how they work, but I also, for my own sake, I want to find out how do I do the best that I can to make sure that we have a loving relationship that stays loving. And then one of the things that's quite common is that when you have children, some people say that the relationship becomes a company. It's basically a business. We have these routines, and you come home with that, and we meet at the door when we come home, and we just cross and peck on the shin, and then we're gone, and we kind of live separate lives. So people stop being romantic partners, and they become business associates, and the love kind of disappears, and then after a few years of that, there's no love left. So we have a few things. I think the video JVB is talking about is how me and my fiance, every time before we go to bed, and I highly recommend you to do this. It's a really nice way of reconnecting with your partner. We send an SMS to each other, and we say, "I appreciate that." And we do this every night. It doesn't matter how much we've been fighting or whatever's been going on, we always do this. So we write, "I appreciate that." And it will be something simple, like it doesn't have to be anything special. It's just something that happened during that day, or something that they do, or "I appreciate that you picked up the kids today. I appreciate that you, when you felt that I was in a bad mood, that you just gave me space and didn't ask me to do anything, or you felt that I was tired, then you took the kids away, so I got a little bit of space." We just share something, and it can be a small thing, and then by doing that, it makes you focus on something you appreciate about the other person instead of just being angry, and it makes them appreciate by you. So it really makes the focus you have on the other person be, "I appreciate something about them." And it's a nice way to go to bed with that as your last thought. Kind of, we always finish with that, and then we say goodnight. So that's like the last thing we do. Sue, have you tried the sitting in a circle at home in the evening yet? Sitting in a circle at home. Which one is that? We have tried the Plum Village has they call watering flowers. So it's basically you sit and you say things. Well, it's basically appreciation, I guess. But it's just a bit longer and more structured. We've done that. And we do sharing circles like the whole time. We talk a lot. We're very open about our emotions, and we, for better or for worse, we can't hide anything from the other person. I mean, if the other person is in a bad mood, like I will feel immediately. I usually feel before my fiance is in a bad mood. I know that she's going to get in a bad mood, and she can get quite irritated because I'm like, okay, like just think about like what you're doing now, and she's like I'm not in a bad mood, and like, oh, actually I am in a bad mood. So we feel each other really much, and we're just really aware of what the other person is doing, and we've been together, this will be our 10th year, so we just learned how to make that work. Relationships are interesting, and they really help you grow. There's really like finding someone, and you're not going to find the perfect partner. I used to think that when I was younger that you find the dream partner and then everything will just work. Because in the fairy tales, they lived happily ever after, right? That's not how reality works. You find someone, they're good enough for you to build a basis with, and then after that you have to develop a relationship. It's not that you just get that automatically. Even people, I have a friend who'd like, oh, we're so similar, we have the same interest in what we do, and they're really passionate about it, both of them, so they do that a lot together, but they have a lot of friction with other things, and you have to have an intimate, like a sex life that works, and you have to have the same views on how we raise our children, at least similar enough, and you need to have a work-life balance. You need to know how to talk to the other person, and people have different love languages, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to work to make a relationship work. And I find it really interesting, and I have to say that I have never been in a relationship like I am now, and it's not because I met the perfect person, it's because we were both willing to to create that relationship, and it took a lot of time, and it was tough. From the outside, people probably think that, oh, you're just so perfect for each other. Like, no, we've had to work for it, and now I am very happy that we did. Sue, I meant set on logs around the campfire. Oh yeah, we talked about it when I was. Oh yes, that's true. No, I haven't tried that, Sue. I forgot about that one. I think, yeah, we'll. I'll have to. I'll try to remember that. That's a good idea. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. Like I said, the retreat is actually in the works. I'm hoping that it won't be too long before something comes up, and it'll be something fun. I just want to do something that's actually like useful, not just, oh, we get together and we meet on Zoom, which is fun. I mean, I've really enjoyed talking to a lot of you on Zoom. But I really want to make something that actually has something in it for you, so that after you've done this, you have like, okay, I understand this better now, and I can feel that I can apply this to my life. So this feeling of me wanting to feel better, I'm not fighting the part that is not feeling the way I want it, and thus you can enjoy your lives more, because that's for me, this is why we're here. Anyone else have anything else on their mind? Otherwise, I think it's a good time to go to bed. I'm just waiting for JVB to post like a 2-page long question, because JVB always comes with questions. Do you have any questions, JVB? You always wait until the end. They're always good questions also, so I can't just hang up on you. Thank you, Nicole. You as well. It's always nice to be here. And as I said, tomorrow there'll be a new video. I think I recorded that this morning at 5 o'clock because I woke up and I had pain, which for me is like a good night's sleep. And it was just something that was really heartwarming that had happened. Just me talking, basically. I had the feeling as if that we were just sitting here and we were discussing something. So I hope you'll enjoy that. Thank you, Sue. Everyone have a great weekend. I agree. Everyone enjoy your weekend, and I will see everyone back on Monday. And remember, focus on the small things. Just see, are you enjoying right now, and why not? Like the small things, not the big things. Just focus on the small things and see if you can enjoy life just a little bit more. See you on Monday. Thank you.